final lesson of the Founder Acharya Essential Series called Your Srila Prabhupada. Before we look at some ways to access and nourish our personal, foundational relationship with His Divine Grace, let's consider how Srila Prabhupada is really for everyone. Yeah, he's a Prabhupada. All right, Damayanti and Subhadra are going to take turns today.
Okay.
But actually, it's whoever is awake, whoever's looking is ready.
Lesson 10, Your Srila Prabhupada. Universal Teacher.
The year was 1935. That picture is not 1935, that's like 66, New York City. The year was 1935. In February, Abhay Charanaravinda Das spoke at the Vyasa Puja celebration of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur in Bombay. Not only was the Thakur Abhay's spiritual master, he was the founder Acharya of the entire Gaudiya mission, which had ignited a renaissance of Krishna consciousness throughout the Indian subcontinent. Addressing the assembly, Abhay declared, quote, "The Acharya Dev to whom we have assembled tonight to offer our humble homage is not the guru of a sectarian institution or one out of many differing exponents of the truth. On the contrary, he is the Jagat Guru, the guru of all of us. The only difference is that some obey him wholeheartedly while others do not obey him directly." While I think of it, I did finish making all the student notes for all the lessons. So if you're interested in getting a file of all the main points of all the lessons, Punya Shravana Prabhu has them. I sent them to him, so just, tell him or drop him an email or whatever, and he'll just shoot it right over. Okay, so that was in 1935. Prabhupada was making the point that his spiritual master is a Jagat Guru. In 1971, after Prabhupada had become ISKCON's founder Acharya, a reporter asked him how many followers he had.
Unlimited, Prabhupada replied, echoing his homage to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta decades earlier. Some admit and some don't admit. Admit you are a servant of Lord Krishna and your life will be a success.
Because Prabhupada is also Jagat Guru, universal teacher. Okay.
Srila Prabhupada is for everyone. Global Preacher.
There's Prabhupada deplaning in Geneva, Switzerland, 1974, June. They don't come out of the bottom of planes anymore like that. Ever since the age of hijacking and terrorism, and there's something less safe about that. I forget, some pilot explained to me once. Okay, Global Preacher.
Between 1965 and 1977, Srila Prabhupada circled the globe 14 times, establishing the Krishna consciousness movement on every major continent. He also initiated thousands of followers and continues to inspire countless more to accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
At an age when most people wish to comfortably retire, Prabhupada kept up a non-stop preaching pace, tirelessly responding to his mission's demands. As he wrote one disciple, and he wrote this from, no, it wasn't in Geneva yet, but anyway, it was during the same European tour. Quote, "Regarding your invitation that I attend the Rath Yatra festival in San Francisco on July 7th, it is possible that I may attend, depending on when I finish my European tour. I am due to arrive in Rome on May 23rd, then after a week, Geneva, then Paris, and possibly Stockholm, Germany, and England. I get tired just reading Prabhupada's itinerary, it's just... If there is time, I can fly directly from Europe to Los Angeles and go to the festival. Of course, from LA, you have to take a little shuttle up to San Fran, too. Then, as you suggest, go to Australia, Rath Yatra via Hawaii. This is known as Jet Age Paribrajacharya. Yeah. And Prabhupada didn't coin that. Some reporter from the Hindustan Times in Delhi said, this is a Jet Age Swami, because he's always flying around the world. That was a letter to my godbrother Jayatirtha. Astonishingly, Jet Age Prabhupada never knew jet lag, or ignored it if he did, instantly adapting to the time at his latest destination. Though most of us were young enough to be his grandchildren, we could not keep up with him. As Prabhupada would sometimes say, quote, my desire is to spread Krishna consciousness everywhere at once. Okay.
Srila Prabhupada is for everyone.
Let's see. Yeah.
Matchless giver. That Srila Prabhupada founded over 100 Hare Krishna temples, schools, farms, restaurants, and other projects, all while writing and publishing dozens of translations and commentaries on foundational Vaishnava scriptures, is simply miraculous.
How did he do it? Well, for one thing, Prabhupada didn't sleep much. After going to bed at 10 p.m., he would usually rise at midnight or 1 a.m. and write through the wee hours. If he had time, he would nap for a half hour after breakfast and a full hour after lunch. His days and nights were a seamless weave of selfless service. Another short sleeper is the cow, to whom Prabhupada would sometimes compare himself. In Bombay, devotees once told Prabhupada they were concerned not enough people would come to a program they had arranged. Prabhupada replied, no, I'm like a cow. I give milk anywhere. That is what I like to do. Another person called up at a place that Prabhupada was due to land at, and the person said, is Prabhupada going to eat where he is, or is he going to eat or is he going to not eat and save his appetite for when he comes here? So we want to know if we should prepare prasad. So then they asked Prabhupada at the place where he was, and Prabhupada said, I'm like a cow. I can eat in this pasture and that pasture. I can eat both places. Okay.
Srila Prabhupada is for everyone.
You having her? Okay. Anybody know where that is?
Sure.
Hmm?
Is that LA?
Yeah. You've been there?
I've seen the last time in the pictures.
Okay. Yeah. Prabhupada, he always had a gong. And he loved to play the gong. And usually when you see these LA pictures on the Vyasasana, he's looking right straight ahead. Here it looks like he's looking up at Krishna or something. It's this different kind of picture. Okay.
Avesa Avatara.
Let's see. Nope, not yet. The Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Ansha Leela, chapter 7, text 11 states, quote, the fundamental religious system in the age of Kali is the chanting of the holy name of Krishna. Unless empowered by Krishna, one cannot propagate the Sankirtan movement, unquote. Commenting on this verse, in CC Antya 2.14, Prabhupada further identifies the one who empowers the spreader of the chanting.
Unless one is empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one cannot spread the holy names of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra throughout the world. Persons who do so are empowered. Therefore, there are sometimes called Avesha Avataras or empowered incarnations, for they are endowed with the power of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
So Prabhupada using the third person there, they, but he's the one that's doing it. He's actually doing it, you know. So it's very endearing that he's never pointing at himself. Once an Indian Swami criticized Prabhupada's global preaching by saying that if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had wanted Krishna consciousness in the Western countries, why didn't he go there himself? To which Prabhupada later said, so he left the credit for me. He loves his devotee more than himself. You got to be pure to say that, right? Yet Prabhupada always passed on that credit to others, to his followers, to his spiritual master, and finally to Krishna himself. It is a mark of Prabhupada's absolute transparency as an Avesh avatar that he named his movement after Lord Krishna, not himself, whom most of the world has yet to discover. So Prabhupada called his movement the Hare Krishna movement, not the Bhaktivedanta Swami movement. So it's our job as his followers to make the world aware of Prabhupada so they can take shelter of him, if they so desire. Okay.
Srila Prabhupada is for everyone.
This is maybe my favorite Prabhupada picture. You know how you know where it was taken? Okay, you know.
Maybe San Francisco?
Yeah, Gurudas. And why did Gurudas take it, do you know? The New York devotees wrote, Prabhupada did the unthinkable, or Swamiji at the time. He left 26 Second Avenue. They thought it was going to be forever, just a few people in 26 Second Avenue, right? But Prabhupada, he was thinking of the whole world. So he went, he followed the counterculture trail to San Francisco. And then the New York devotees were in such shock that Prabhupada wasn't physically with them. They said, what should we do? What do? We don't know what to do without you. And Prabhupada said, I just do what we've been doing. Just have the same program. And if you miss me too much, put my picture on my seat. And they said, well, we don't have a picture. It was always just him. So Prabhupada said, okay. So Prabhupada told Roger Siegel, who became Gurudas, and Gurudas he was good with a camera, and he just quickly made a few scenes, and some were color and some were black and white. And this one, nice, somehow he captured Prabhupada's gravity and compassion in the same glance. It's just so perfect. Okay. If Srila Prabhupada is for everyone, he is certainly for everyone in ISKCON. As mentioned in Lesson 9, in 1994, ISKCON's governing body passed its first Founder Acharya resolution. Here are all of that resolution's points. We just showed the first point. And so one by one.
ISKCON's founder Acharya, 1994 GBC Resolution 35th.
Number 35.
Number
resolution.
35. The founder Acharya's statement.
Okay.
A. Srila Prabhupada is the foundational Shiksha Guru for all ISKCON devotees.
Mm-hmm.
B. Srila Prabhupada's instructions are the essential teachings for every ISKCON devotee. C. Srila Prabhupada's books are the embodiment of his teachings and should be accepted as the standard by all future generations of ISKCON. D. Srila Prabhupada should be worshipped daily by every ISKCON member. E. Every spiritual master is responsible to guide his disciples to follow Srila Prabhupada's instructions.
More founder Acharya resolutions came later, identifying our foundational relationship with Srila Prabhupada as the sublime pivot around which all our other relationships turn. Amid our ever-increasing diversity, Srila Prabhupada remains the unity. Okay.
Connect with your Srila Prabhupada.
If you were born after Prabhupada's time or never knew him when he walked among us, you may wonder what will happen to his society when the last Prabhupada disciple has left this world. Not to worry, since the Latin origin of, quote, disciple means, quote, learner, as the Hare Krishna movement continues to expand, Prabhupada's presence will also expand through the generations of disciples, in the sense of learners, who learn and pass on his divine instructions. Despite our different Gurudevs, since we all share the same founder Acharya, generations will continue to follow his divine grace into and out of this world, sharing Krishna's mercy with suffering humanity in many ways. So these are some of the ways, because Prabhupada has different aspects, different sides of him. He's such a, did I say here? Yeah, okay. So which aspect of Srila Prabhupada inspires you most? So we're going to read left to right on the top and then left to right on the bottom. Which aspect of Srila Prabhupada inspires you most? Prabhupada, the back to the land of Krishna pioneer? Prabhupada, the world Sankirtan party leader? Prabhupada, the Vaishnavi empowerer? The consummate cook? The prolific author? The cultural conqueror? The list goes on. A true transcendental Renaissance man, Prabhupada is many-sided, but to whichever side we're attracted, there are standard ways to build a personal, foundational relationship with his divine grace. Okay, so we do have an audio slide here coming up. And that'll come out there, right? Even there. Okay.
Connect by spiritual sound vibration.
Right. The first and foremost way we can all connect with Srila Prabhupada is by becoming keen students of his spoken and written word. Regular, attentive hearing from our founder Acharya, especially in the company of sincere and serious devotees, grounds us in the root relationship that nourishes us all. In August 1968, a new initiate in Montreal told Prabhupada she felt far away from his divine grace when he wasn't there in person. Prabhupada replied,
Oh, that you should not...
No.
Oh, sorry.
There are two conceptions, the physical conception and the vibration conception. The physical conception is temporary, and the vibration conception is eternal. Just like we are enjoying or we are relishing the vibration of Krishna's teaching. So by vibration is present. As soon as we chant Hare Krishna or chant Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavad, so he is present immediately by vibration. So we should be more stressed on the sound vibration, either of Krishna or of the spiritual master, then we feel happy and all separation.
Prabhupada didn't say Vani and Vapu. He said physical and vibration. He was spoon-feeding the early devotees these concepts in English, which was good. Separated from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta for decades, Prabhupada would nonetheless say he always felt his spiritual master right by his side. How? By absolute absorption in hearing, chanting, and applying Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's teachings. In the same way, in the company of sincere and serious devotees, absorbed in studying and presenting Prabhupada's teachings, we will also feel Prabhupada's presence always in our lives. And now I give a couple of examples of people who did that. There we go.
Srila Prabhupada and Jayananda Prabhu. Srila Prabhupada and Yamuna Devi.
In this connection, two exemplary devotees from my generation come to mind, Jayananda Prabhu and Yamuna Devi. And they're walking with Prabhupada in Golden Gate Park. In 1967, Yamuna and Jayananda were among the first to join Srila Prabhupada's movement in San Francisco. Deeply devoted to Prabhupada from the start, they were also as different as night and day. I mean, really different people. To meet Yamuna was to meet a priestess of devotion, expressed most wonderfully through her cooking, singing, and deity worship. Prabhupada, the cultural conqueror, came through Yamuna. Jayananda was strong as an ox and humble as grass. A mechanical engineer by training, Jayananda was a tireless worker who was perhaps best known for building huge chariots for ISKCON's annual Rath Yatra parades. Prabhupada's surpassing strength and humility came through Jayananda. Different as they were, Yamuna and Jayananda both had a deep love for hearing from Srila Prabhupada. By developing a similar love and a deep dedication to serving Srila Prabhupada's mission, one or more aspects of our beloved founder Acharya will also shine through us. I mean, we can't reflect all of Prabhupada's sides because we all have different natures, but Prabhupada's nature was so all-sided. He was like a Vaidurya gem, you know. Once Prabhupada was chanting japa in the old farmhouse temple at the New Vrindavan, the original New Vrindavan farm. Anybody been to New Vrindavan? Yeah. Did you ever go up top to the original farm?
The side of
Hmm?
the museum.
The no, that's down below. That's where the Radhavadava Chandra are, right? Down where the guest house is and.
We're saying New Vrindavan.
Yeah, New Vrindavan. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, Prabhupada, this is 69. This is his first visit. And Prabhupada's, he's pacing. He stayed in a room right above the temple room downstairs. So he's pacing, and he has a chadar on. And Shamadasi, he tells a story. She said, so Prabhupada was chanting, his japa, Hari Krishna Hari, and she was cleaning his room, but she was just marveling at Prabhupada's pacing back and forth. And then at one point, Prabhupada turned and flung his chadar like an actor with a cape on stage. And he said, my spiritual master has made me a jewel, and I will make you all jewels. Oh. Yeah. Because and everybody is originally a lover of Krishna, but we're like, it's like there's an expression in English, a diamond in the rough. So, okay, we're really covered by all kinds of mud and junk and yeah. Okay. Okay, so we can all develop our relationship just by sound, just by becoming absorbed, really absorbed in Prabhupada's written and spoken word. And then
connect by finding and making your best contribution to our founder Acharya's mission.
Since some dubious devotional groups prematurely focus on seeing Krishna face to face, Prabhupada admonished his followers that the best way to see Krishna is to serve the mission of his pure devotee, the spiritual master.
When one becomes serious to follow the mission of the spiritual master, his resolution is tantamount to seeing the spiritual personality of Godhead.
Supreme Personality. That's amazing, huh? Just by committing to the mission, that's as good as seeing God. And then the counterpoint to that is, as Srila Bhaktisiddhanta would say, don't try to see God. You work in such a way that God will see you. Prabhupada gave the example, if you're, say you're a worker in the Ford Motor Company, and you're on the assembly line, and you're just a silent worker, and you don't, you're just a good worker, and you don't demand recognition or anything. One day, if you're such a good worker, one day Mr. Ford may come to the assembly line and say, "Oh, you're such a nice worker. Here's a gold watch." He's heard about you, right? And you see this in companies, or even on buses. Worker of the week, or did they do this in Canada? Driver of the month, or they want to honor their good workers. Okay. So becoming absorbed in serving the mission. You work in such a way that God will see you. And when that work is done cooperatively in Srila Prabhupada's mission, combining the efforts of different generations, Krishna is pleased and blesses us manyfold. Okay, we've been talking about connecting with Srila Prabhupada, but there may be a doubt, so I have... Did I show you this before?
But no jumping, please.
Wait a minute, did anybody know what kind of creature that is?
Monkey?
Good? It's a lemur. It's not. This guy was the best jumper I could find on Google Images. He beat all the monkeys, and it's not. It's native to Madagascar, Comoro Islands, off the African coast.
Oh, there's a movie made on him.
Okay, so okay. Did you read that yet?
But no jumping, please.
In the early 1970s, as more Western devotees began to visit India, some became fascinated by the books in English of our Gaudiya predecessors, especially of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta and Srila Bhaktivinoda. So they asked Prabhupada if they could read their writings. Prabhupada wasn't pleased. This is Prabhupada again speaking now.
You cannot imagine what my spiritual master said. Or even if you read some books, you cannot understand unless you understand it from me. This is called Prabhupada. You cannot jump over to the superior guru, I will say, neglecting the next order, immediate next order.
In ISKCON's multiple guru culture today, we've come to realize that a prime duty of our initiating and instructing spiritual masters is to deepen, enhance, and enrich our foundational relationship with Srila Prabhupada. If, quote, no jumping over means no neglecting one's, quote, immediate next acharya, how much more does that mean no neglecting Srila Prabhupada, our founder acharya, from whom we derive our core identity and through whom we see all teachers and teachings. Moreover, the more deeply our spiritual masters connect us with Srila Prabhupada, the more responsibility we have to pass on his unique legacy to others.
Imbibe and impart Prabhupada's legacy.
When Srila Prabhupada sees we're sincerely following him, he blesses us with the realization to pass on his teachings in ways both faithful and fitting. It's one of my favorite quotes right here.
Personal realization does not mean that one should, out of vanity, attempt to show one's own learning by trying to surpass the previous acharya. He must have full confidence in the previous acharya, and at the same time he must realize the subject matter so nicely that he can present the matter for the particular circumstances in a suitable manner. The original purpose of the text must be
And
maintained.
that's Prabhupada's italics, his emphasis.
Sorry?
I didn't put that italics in there. Italics means you're emphasizing something, and Prabhupada did it.
The original purpose of the text must be maintained. No obscure meaning should be screwed out of it, yet it should be presented in an interesting manner for the understanding of the audience. This is called realization.
This is called realization. When we not only are read and understand, but we actually are surrendered to the mission and are blessed to know how to represent means to represent, to present it all over again to a new time, place, audience. This is called realization. Not everybody can do that, unless we can only do it if we're surrendered and we're absorbed in hearing and know how to present it again. And Prabhupada would say to us, if I have any credit, it's that I haven't changed anything. I'm just presenting what I heard from my Guru Maharaj. But if you've ever read Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, I mean, Prabhupada, what he was doing was he was taking Bhaktisiddhanta's teachings and presenting them very simply for a new audience. So he didn't change anything. Means he didn't change any meaning. He didn't change any purport. But he was putting in his own words, and he was praying for empowerment to do that. To imbibe and impart Prabhupada's legacy is to become gurus in our own right, not to imitate or replace our founder Acharya, but to follow in his footsteps. As Srila Prabhupada put it, quote, because people are in darkness, we require many millions of gurus to enlighten them. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission is, he said, that every one of you become guru. Prabhupada said that in Honolulu. And the way we close the lesson before Q&A is we look at the benefits of deeply understanding Srila Prabhupada's position.
Benefits of deeply understanding Srila Prabhupada's position.
In the booklet, Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON, published by the GBC in 2014, Ravindra Swarup Prabhu and his colleagues on the Strategic Planning Committee, Srila Prabhupada's position, concluded by listing the benefits of deeply understanding Prabhupada's unique, transcendental position, especially for all who serve his movement. So we're going to look at how many points are there? 7 benefits. I'm sure there's unlimited, but this is what they put in the book.
Generation after generation will be able to receive the special mercy offered by Srila Prabhupada. The path back to Godhead he opened will become ever increasingly traveled. Srila Prabhupada's active presence will secure the unity and integrity of ISKCON, strengthening both the GBC and Guru-disciple bond. By taking full shelter of Srila Prabhupada as Shiksha Guru in his Vani manifestation, all teachers in ISKCON on various levels of advancement will be able to authentically convey Srila Prabhupada's real teaching, thus giving proper guidance, shelter, and protection to all.
ISKCON's teaching will remain consistent over space and time. Prabhupada's realized knowledge endowing him with the specific potency to spread Krishna consciousness will not only be preserved but also developed. His books will remain central to us, for they contain insights and directions that await future development to be realized.
There's a lot of things that Prabhupada wrote about in his books which we haven't even done. I mean, Varnashram is a big one. That's all over Prabhupada's books, but we really haven't developed that.
Srila Prabhupada's eyes will always remain the lens through which all future generations see our predecessor acharyas.
Okay? all those benefits naturally accrue to devotees who realize their core identity as Prabhupada Anugas, Prabhupada's followers. Inspired by, quote, our Prabhupads, we will continue to cooperate, even when we disagree, to bring the Lord's mercy to everyone. I can't imagine a better way to please Srila Prabhupada, our beloved founder Acharya. Okay, now we look at the learning outcomes.
Lesson 10. Your Srila Prabhupada Learning Outcomes. By now, we should be able to describe how Srila Prabhupada is a universal teacher. Describe how Srila Prabhupada is a global preacher. Describe how Srila Prabhupada is a matchless giver. Describe how Srila Prabhupada is an Avesha avatar.
It says explain, but that's the same. You said describe, right?
Explain.
Yeah, same.
Explain how Srila Prabhupada is the foundation spiritual master for everyone in ISKCON. Cite 2 ways everyone can build a personal relationship with Srila Prabhupada. Explain how developing a foundational relationship with Srila Prabhupada does not mean jumping over our Shiksha and Diksha gurus. Explain our responsibility to imbibe and impart Srila Prabhupada's teachings. Cite the benefits of deeply understanding Srila Prabhupada's unique transcendental position.
Okay, we're going to do Q&A and wait a minute. And then if we have time, I think, well, it depends on how long you want to go. I'm going to ask you all, this helps me to know how to improve the series. How this series has influenced your relationship with Srila Prabhupada, be it a slide or a story I told or something somebody said in a Q&A, anything, this is how my seminars evolve over the years. Okay, Amala, first out of the gate.
Prabhu, you mentioned about not jumping over. I just had this one doubt, considering Prabhupada also mentioned that we should not listen to his god brothers. Well, it's a really recent incident where Brahmachari from Gaudiya Math was actually visiting Toronto, and some of our congregational members, including initiated and second initiated devotees, were visiting them and doing kirtan with them, sharing their books. And if they were asked, they were sharing that at least we are not doing something bad, we are sharing, and it's Gaudiya philosophy. So what are our views on that? What should be our reaction on that?
Let's look at the last benefit. There you go. Read that.
Srila Prabhupada's eyes will always remain the lens through which all future generations see our predecessor acharyas.
Yep. I have a godbrother who, during ISKCON's zonal acharya days, he left ISKCON because, and I can't even blame him, because he was severely burned by a certain zonal acharya. And he couldn't take it anymore. So he took shelter of a Gaudiya Math sannyasi. And to this day, he loves Prabhupada, but I visited him on his farm in California, Northern California, the Panorama Farm, I think that's what he called it. Oh, the Harmony Farm? I forget exactly what it is. Anyway, so I know him for a long time, so it was a very nice visit. And then he took me into, there's a temple, and he has cows, and it's a nice little project. And so then he showed me the altar at the temple. And there on the altar, Prabhupada was there, but more prominent was Sridhar Maharaj, because I could tell just from my seeing the way he was worshiping and also the way he was speaking to me, that he was now seeing everyone and everything through Sridhar's eyes. But that's not helpful for us in ISKCON, because we know just from Shastra and also from what Prabhupada did, that he was super empowered in a way that nobody else was. Yeah. So back to your point. So I don't think, anybody who's going to hear other, unless those Gaudiya Math people, and there are some Gaudiya Math people who accept and live it and live, they understand that Prabhupada is the most empowered. And they do see, in fact, I think to this day, there's the head pujari in Vrindavan. What's his name? He came through the Srila, the Narayan camp. What's his name? Mukunda Dutt. Yeah, okay. So he came through the Sridhar camp, but he is completely on board with Prabhupada being, he came through that camp, but he's, wow, he knows that Prabhupada is the foundational Shiksha Guru. And that's why he's allowed to serve in ISKCON, because he does accept that, and he lives it, he practices it. So even if it's Gaudiya, it's Prabhupada's life teachings, mood and mission. It's what he emphasized. That's very important for us to keep ISKCON on track. Otherwise it's mission drift and we get splayed out in so many other gurus, swamis, and we just become another fragmented group. Yeah. And that's not sectarian, that's just simply an objective fact. That Prabhupada is the most empowered, and he created, look what Prabhupada did. He created a spiritual infrastructure that anybody in the world can take shelter of. Did I tell you that Himalayan story about the yogi and the journalist? Okay, 1975, there was a journalist at Newsweek magazine called Tony Hatch. And so still so many gurus, swamis, and yogis were coming to the West and streamlining the message to, suit Western tastes, and not what Prabhupada did. So anyway, Tony Hatch, he decided he wanted to go to the Himalayas to meet not a yogi who was coming to the West, but he wanted to meet the real deal. He wanted to meet the real, some hardcore yogi in the Himalayas, right? So he found somebody who spoke English, who was lying on the bed of nails, proverbial bed of nails, doing his tapas. And Tony Hatch was interviewing this yogi while he's lying in the bed of nails. And so then the journalist says, I'm a journalist and I travel all over the world. I see a lot of suffering. The world's really in bad shape. And this is 1975, what to speak of now, right? And did you ever consider, Mr. Yogi, I don't know what he called him, but coming out of the Himalayas and sharing your wisdom and your perspective with the world? You might be able to help the world. So the yogi gave a classic yogi answer, which was anticipated by Prahlad Maharaj in the 7th canto of Bhagavatam. He said, it is said that the well does not go to the thirsty must come to the well. So they got to come to me as I'm lying on this bed of nails. Now contrast that response to what Prabhupada did. He went all over the world and started an irrigation project to continue the metaphor of wells and water. So that people can, if you're in Siberia, in Novosibirsk, there's devotees there. And Vladivostok, way in Kamchatka Peninsula, and South America. Prabhupada just wore out his body out of compassion, just establishing Krishna consciousness on every major continent. Yeah. So That's the person we want to follow. Who is the most surrendered, the most compassionate, the most realized. And that's not a sectarian statement, that's simply an objective fact. So,
Thank you, Prabhu.
but people, if people don't know that here in the congregation, then they should know that. Nobody compares. Why go somewhere else? Unless that Gaudiya person is a Prabhupada Nuga. Then he can help us, because he's got some wisdom to share. So that's what we're interested in being Prabhupada Anugas, Prabhupada followers. Good. Ishan, Prabhu.
Yes, I just wanted to clarify. So there is, because you mentioned that, Prabhupada, created infrastructure for everyone in this world to experience Krishna consciousness and to share. So anyone who's a Prabhupada Anuga, it doesn't matter which camp he's from, he can come.
I missed that one.
Sorry, anyone who's Prabhupada Anuga, it doesn't matter which camp he's from, he can come and, and help us
We come
out.
from all different camps. I came from the baseball camp. I can tell you a lot about baseball to this day, I remember batting averages from 1950s. Anyway, so, yeah, we enter Krishna consciousness from all kinds of funny, places. But Krishna knows how to reel us in. And then I became a Beatles devotee, and then, So, as long as we land right side up at Prabhupada's lotus feet, and start to try to follow him, his instructions, then we become purified. And even though that prarabdha karma, you're familiar with this prarabdha, the manifest karma, like you're looking at this is a 1946 male, born in New York City body. December 1st, 1946. Okay? But I can overcome that. Born in New York City, and 20 years before Prabhupada came. Prabhupada made it a holy place. So as long as anybody can, there's a verse in the second canto, 2:4:18. Kirataho nandra pulinda pulkasha. You know this verse? Abhira shumbhaya vanakasadayaha ye cha papa vyadapashraya shraya Shudhyanti tasmai prabhavishnave namaha. Go to Bhagavatam 2:4:18. I can paraphrase it, but you have it on your phone? It's about how anybody can be purified, and it starts with Karata. You know who Karata means? Africans. The Nairobi temple, Prabhupada named Kirata Shuddhi, purified Africans. Hunandra, the Huns, people in Germany. Did anybody find it yet? 2:4:18. It's the translation. Read the translation.
Kirata Huna Andhra Pulinda Pulkasha Abhira Sumbha Yavana, members of the Khasa races.
Khasa races, this is Mongolians.
Oh.
Yeah.
And even others addicted to sinful acts can be purified by taking shelter of the devotees of the Lord. Due to his being the supreme power, I beg to offer my respectful obeisances unto him.
Due to his being the supreme power, right? A
Yes.
capital H?
Due to his being, yes. And
Yes, due to Krishna's being the supreme power, because Krishna can purify anybody, and whoever he purifies, they can purify others. This is parampara. Yeah, 2:4:18. Pulinda, the Greeks. And then by extension, Prabhupada said this is the Europeans too. You're all from this stock, Prabhupada said. Okay.
Just adding on, it's a separate question.
Yeah. How did I answer?
Yeah, that was fine. That was just a clarification.
Okay.
My main question was, so yesterday I was having a conversation with a Christian youth Canefe leader.
Mhm.
And so he was mentioning about God, the Trinity and three types. God comes as
Mhm.
Father, God comes as Son, and God comes in Spirit. So, so he talked about the role of spirit in terms of it being, God is in spirit. He's present in spirit.
Yeah.
So do we also look at Prabhupada not as God, but like he's present in spirit in terms of his books and in terms of
Yeah,
his
and
life?
his Vani is
Yeah.
everlasting. He lives forever by his divine instructions. Spirit means, spirit is kind of vague.
Yeah.
But when we say vibration or instructions, that's very tangible. We can read, we can hear, we can practice, it's something to really do. Yeah. And because there's no real parampara from Christianity, you get different takes on that triune God. You get so many different denominations.
That's true.
Is Christ God or is he not God? Well, he's a little bit God. It depends on the denomination. We're so blessed that we have parampara system. Okay, any other? Prabhu?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you so much for this wonderful series. I really learned a lot about Prabhupada, and I like how one is more important than just
Are you
physical
moving into
consumption.
the
No, I was
testimonials
just
now?
telling before.
You're going to ask a question?
Yes.
Okay.
So you mentioned that Prabhupada, how Prabhupada is an Avesh avatar, right? But if you have seen so many pastimes that Prabhupada sometimes was about to tell his spiritual identity, but Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati, so we know like who they were in spiritual world. So is there any like specific pastime like where Prabhupada say that? I know that I'm not qualified to ask this question, but still.
Yeah. Prabhupada did not encourage that kind of question. Although I have a godbrother who wrote a whole book about who he thinks Prabhupada is in Golok. I just don't find it useful. Because I find it most useful to relate to Prabhupada as our founder Acharya, our foundational spiritual master. And even a godbrother of Prabhupada's, Sridhar Maharaj, he said that generally, I'm getting a little over my head now, but his opinion, because people in the line of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Goswamis, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and generally they're all in Madhurya Ras. But how is that helping me? I'm still trying to understand I'm not this body. So first Kurukshetra Lila, then Rasa Lila. First deserve, then desire. Now some devotees might disagree. Oh yeah, you must understand how can you follow Prabhupada unless you know he's a Manjari Gopi, Rati Manjari. That's Bhakti Vinod, right? Or who's no, Rati Manjari is Kamala Manjari is Bhakti Vinod, and Rati Manjari is Bhakti. I mean, okay, great. So what? Yeah, I'm way down here, So, yeah, I don't go there. I don't think it's even useful. At least maybe because I'm so fallen that I don't. But I don't think have I ever met anybody who thinks that's a useful question. Well, I know some devotees, some leaders even, who think it's useful to cultivate Gopi Bhav. I mean, in an authorized way, not like the Gopi Bhava Club did in LA in the 70s, in 76. But anyway, it's above my pay grade, as they say. Can't tell you what I don't know or don't experience. Okay, sorry. Wait a minute. Jiva Doi. I almost said Jaya. Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So we were discussing in one of the lessons that how Prabhupada disciples are, endangered species. So how do you see ISKCON will be affected or will progress after eventually all of the Prabhupada disciples will?
Yeah, I think, didn't I address that? The script. Let's see if I can. Let me see. Yeah. Okay. I want to just, because when I write things down, it's the fruit of really meditating on something. So I probably said it better here, but I mean I can just say something now. But let me see if I can just find that. Ask your question again.
So, how do you see ISKCON being affected or in general progressing further without all of the Prabhupada disciples?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. All right. Without the physical, and I have a running joke with a sannyasi in Mayapur about this, because he's a disciple of Jayapataka Maharaj, and so so I once gave a vyasa. Every Prabhupada's, what is it? His appearance? No, it's his disappearance day. Well, they probably do it on the appearance too, but for the disappearance day, they invite all the Prabhupada initiates who are still alive. It's an ever dwindling, it's an ever shrinking group, into the samadhi, into the Prabhupada's Pushpa Samadhi at the, in Mayapur. And then we have big, and then, so they invite us to sit on seats and address all the assembled devotees. Oh, that gives me a hint. I think I know what it is now. All right. Yeah. No? Anyway. Okay. So, Ambarish is there, and Bhavananda's there, and the Mahatma's there, and Mahatma's coming in 2 days. Yes. Yay! Tomorrow he's coming now. Oh, wow. Okay. So anyway, we speak, but then when the mic was passed, because this was on 2013, I think, or 14. And by then, because I started teaching this in 2012, and it was all about, being close to Prabhupada and Vani, which we all have to do now, even if you're initiated by Prabhupada. So I just took the mic, and instead of sitting there and telling some story or pastime of Prabhupada, I got up, because everybody else in Mayapur is sitting all around in the samadhi. And you've been to Prabhupada's Pushpa Samadhi? Yeah, it's a big place. And so I just got up, I took the mic, and it had a cord, and I was going around. And I said to him, now, here's how I don't want you coming up to me anymore. Anybody saying, Suresvara Prabhu, what will happen when the last Prabhupada disciple leaves the planet? What will happen? No. You're supposed to imbibe Prabhupada's life teachings, mood and mission, just like us, so that you can pass it on. That's what's going to happen if you've actually if you've surrendered to the parampara. Then you're the next people who connect people to Prabhupada. So please don't make us a cult. Don't make the Prabhupada disciples some, Diksha cult. These are the real gurus. And no. That's a big theme of this series. Prabhupada is not just for 4,780 initiated. He's for all generations, all time. And that's how it's going to go to every town and village. That's how ISKCON is going to stay together. He's the unity amidst the diversity. So it's not about Bapu. It's about Vani. And the Vani, can be more. It can get as more of Prabhupada's Vani is developed and does manifest. We can have more to give the world. Not just something theoretical that Prabhupada spoke or wrote, but something manifest. That's how Prabhupada said we're going to actually attract the masses to Krishna consciousness through these rural communities, for example, the Varnashram, the rural communities. Okay. Any more pressing questions? I really do want to get your input for how this series has influenced your relationship with Srila Prabhupada in any way. As I said, either through a slide or something I said or a story or something that somebody else said. Because this helps me know how to, do more of what works and do less of what doesn't work. Anybody? Anything? It doesn't have to be something profound, any little thing. Yes, Vishesha Prabhu.
Hare Krishna,
A
Prabhu.
special comment from the special divine.
No. Thank you, Uncle S. Prabhu, for this wonderful session. For me, I'm still somewhat new to Prabhupada and his teachings, and this seminar in particular has helped me move much closer to him. I got to know so many things which I had no idea before. And some of these things, like I read about Avaishavattaram, and I always used to think Prabhupada, because the result that he created, how is it possible without him being, directly empowered? So it's very comprehensive what you have in your content, and it includes everything. I really enjoyed it. And you also create a certain festive mood also by joking in between. So, because you wanted to hear how it was, so that's why I'm giving a feedback. One thing that
Let
I
me
felt...
just say, you know why I put humor in there?
Yeah.
Because you can't just be heavy all the time. How long can people sustain that gravity, right? Prabhupada himself, he was very funny, if you listen to him. And Shakespeare said, the truest things are said in jest. Because when you make a joke, then everybody laughs, nobody's threatened by a joke. But then you think about it, oh, yeah. So I try to make heavy points in light ways. And that way it's very digestible.
And also, one thing I must mention, maybe we can't really do anything about it because it's time which is a factor, is sometimes we had so many questions left, but in the Q&A session, we felt like it was very insightful. Like every sentence was so much dripping with knowledge. But for most days, I was left with questions that I couldn't ask because the time was over.
I'm glad you brought this up because it's true. Q&A is limited, and I'm an email guy. I love to answer emails. So you can write me. And I always invite people to write me for follow-up. And I have people writing me from years, from different countries. And I remember you said this, but what about that? And all this stuff. And I'm always refining my understanding too. Prabhupada keeps revealing more and more to me especially when God brothers come and God sisters. They really add a lot, and they correct something I might have said, or they refine it, they give more context. So, when you get the notes from Punya Srabhana, he can tell you my email. I can tell you now, but you might forget it, or unless you want it. You want to hear my email? Yes. You know how to spell my name? Sure. SV, with a V as in Victor, ARA, Suresvara, @gmail.com. Really easy. That's just my name. No hidden numbers or dots or dash.
I thought your name was spelled.
Actually, in my initiation letter, it was. Or not my initiation. After my initiation, then I sent Prabhupada $5 dakshin. That's all I could collect in Moundsville, West Virginia, in 1971. Shaved head, orange sheet, begging down Hillbilly Street, $5 absolute. That's a haiku I wrote about my dakshin day. Shaved head, orange sheet, begging down Hillbilly Street. West Virginia is a hillbilly country. $5 absolute. They were afraid of me. They were throwing coins at me. They were like, who's that? Has he just landed from another planet, Anyway, I wrote Prabhupada a letter thanking him for initiating me, enclosed an international money order with a dakshin. And then he wrote me back, and he used the Bengali way. Instead of V, it's W. Suresvara, VW. Yeah. No, it's just how you transliterate it. But, if you have the database and you go in there, you look and there's a database of Prabhupada's initiated disciples, and you'll see it's V, because that's the Sanskrit way. And also in Prabhupada's books, my name is in there in different contexts, and it's V, Suresvara. Yes, you have a...
There's some points that I loved during your talks in the last 10
I love
days.
that you love them.
One of it was the point that only he could lead them. All the stories that we discussed with that topic were just amazing. Like when he said with the tears in his eyes that if anybody else comes, you'll all be confused, or you'll all be...
You will be confused.
You will be confused.
If they say one word different.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then we also discussed that he was very particular on who he would let his followers be preached from. And that story of how he encouraged his godbrother to join the ISKCON movement, but then he discouraged his disciple to actually encourage him to join.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like,
because I know if these Gaudiya Math people, if they come into ISKCON, it will ruin things. They have a different mood. Yeah.
and during all the sessions, I really enjoyed that we discussed the pastimes that are usually not discussed at all. Maybe when people made mistakes and they were like the story of Brahmananda Prabhu and other people who made mistake of accepting Prabhupada as, he's the God Prabhu, So usually these topics are just put under the rug, slid under the rug, but it was really nice to discuss them actually. And I also
If you can bring it to a happy ending, to a
Yes.
nice conclusion,
Yes.
then it's worth. Otherwise, it just agitates people's minds. I never even knew the complete story until Brahmananda said it on the following Srila Prabhupada DVD series, DVD number 2, and he told the whole thing, and I thought, wow, that's why he was saying Prabhupada was God, and he's saying that I was the most affected, and being envious, and then they psychologically flip-flopped. They were underestimating him, so then they overestimated and began to deify him. Yeah, it's really, if you can take the student through all the different twists and turns of the story and end up happily, then it's good.
Yes,
Otherwise, people are, oh no, because we like happy endings. Because it is a happy ending. It's a happy ending when you're looking for the truth and you find out that the truth happens to be Radha and Krishna. The truth is that everything comes from this supreme love affair, Radha and Krishna. I mean, that's so much more attractive than a big bang or a cloud of crud or a chunk or something impersonal or void. It comes from a love affair. Whew. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so thank you for presenting in that way, Prabhu. We really enjoyed it. At least I really enjoyed it. And I also loved the personal stories that you shared, like the one with Yamuna Prabhu, where Prabhupada was like, oh, so you don't like to hear me anymore. And then she was just crying. She told him what had happened. And Prabhupada said, oh, this is India, this is different.
Yeah, this is India. It's not the Haight-Ashbury, or it's not the West. It's a different thing. But that was mercy, because then she had to start cultivating that Vipralamba Seva, that service and separation. And she did. Yeah, it was good. And when you met Yamuna, wow. She was just like I said in the lesson, you were meeting Prabhupada, the cultural conqueror. And she's very, just very thoughtful and refined. And I told you the story of when I was in her house.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sharanagati.
Yeah. And trying to sing Mangalarti and being overwhelmed by the mood of the place. And,
You can do it.
and turning around and she goes, "You can do it, dear." Yeah, she was very motherly.
The last point I have is just this. I will go back and listen to this whole thing again that you shared today was both Jayananda Prabhu and Yamuna Prabhu were both loved by Prabhupada dearly. But both of them had different, missions
so
and
different.
mood.
Wow.
So I really want to understand this deeply, really, at the stage in my life where I want to understand this thing that, you can have different mission and mood and still love Prabhupada.
Yeah, now the subtext, the message behind that story is be yourself.
Yes.
Just, we don't have to be anybody else. In fact, we can't, because we are who we are. But we have to become a purified version of ourselves.
Right.
And we will, just by following Prabhupada.
Yeah.
So, and then we can, because Prabhupada has so many sides, so we can manifest a side of Prabhupada. And that's fine. You know the story of Prabhupada in Atlanta, where the Radha Damodar book distributors are there. They all came in, and they're like number one, and they're all feeling their oats, all these Radha Damodar brahmacharis. So I think Kalakanta told this maybe. Yeah. And he asked this brahmachari asked a loaded question. How can we please you the most? They're all ready to, start beating the drums when Prabhupada says book distribution. And what did Prabhupada say? That you love Krishna. Oh, yeah, because it doesn't matter what we do, if we're not doing it with love, then it's just for show. It's just for book points and glory, and I'm the number one and all this stuff, Be thyself, know thyself, be thyself.
Yeah, and there was an instruction there as well, like just focus on the sound vibration and everything else will come
Yeah.
in time.
Yeah, that's how I stay close to Prabhupada. Did I tell you when I first heard Prabhupada chant japa? Did I tell you that story?
I think you. I think
In
I forgot.
the van in Boston?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was brand new, 1970. I told? Yeah. So we were all, it was a family in those days. Just all boys and girls together in a van, and we were all chanting a japa, and there was the hum of japa, and then all of a sudden above the hum I heard Hare Krishna, Krishna, and so immediately I didn't ever heard Prabhupada's voice. And so I said, "Who's that?" I just screamed, everybody looking at me like, "Don't you know?" And then Pradyumna, the Sanskritist, he turns around, because he's practically sitting in my lap, we're so squished in this van, and he goes, "That's Srila Prabhupada." Because he was the one that pressed the button on the cassette player to play that tape, which I had never heard. Oh, so that's what japa is like. That's real, that's like japa, the highest japa, full of Krishna prema. Who's that? So that was the beginning of my love of Prabhupada's voice. And it's all, his voice is so, like he says in 254, purport, because Arjuna says in Gita, what are the symptoms of one whose consciousness is thus merged in transcendence? How does he speak, and what is his language? How does he sit, and how does he walk? And so Prabhupada says in the purport that speech is the most important quality of any person. And then he says, a fool is undiscovered until he speaks. So, if we want to, we have to remain fools in the sense that Prabhupada is always our master. But we should remain fools, even if we humbly know that we're fools. So, It's all coming from Prabhupada's vibration, manifesting through our Shiksha Diksha gurus and through each other. At the end of the day, what do we have? We have each other. This is what we have. This is who we are, you know. We have each other, and then we have the 6 loving exchanges. Okay, it's getting close, because I gotta...
Thank you. I'll just let somebody else.
Does anybody else have a... Oh, Monil hasn't spoken yet.
I really like when you shared your personal stories. And, many unheard stories you shared. I'm trying to read the Leelamrita. I've also heard some Prabhupada memories. But the stories that you shared, I've never heard those stories. And
Which, you mean about the morning walks?
morning walks, and I don't remember the particulars, but when I hear that story, I was like, wow, this also happened. I never know that. Oh, yes. So
Yeah, there was no tape recorder. Yeah, there are tape recordings on morning walks, but on the 3 that I went on, there weren't, as far as I remember. At least there wasn't that one in Miami when I was looking at Prabhupada's head. And then the 2 in LA. Okay, I'll tell you one more morning walk pastime. I was there. I don't know if the tape recorder was, probably not. I never heard it. It was June 1976. It was actually the last morning walk. I went, and the last morning walk in LA, because we didn't know Prabhupada was going to be leaving soon. So we're at this beautiful, anybody ever been, you've been to Dwarka, right? Or somebody, you've been to, yeah. So there's a beautiful park called Santa Monica, it's Santa Monica Cliff Park, something like that. Santa Monica Cliff Gardens, that's what it is. It's a park in Santa Monica and Santa Monica is part of the LA area. So where it's high up and it's overlooking the Pacific. It's beautiful. You can see the Pacific down below. Anyway, Prabhupada's there, and it's a beautiful June morning. It's typically he'd walk from 6 to 7 a.m., something like that, and it was June. The days were long. So by the time we got there, it was the sun was pretty much up, and so there was tons of us. There was people in white and yellow and saffron. It was this whole fleet of devotees. It's 6 in the morning, and we have the whole park to ourselves because nobody's up. Everybody's still getting up or sleeping or whatever. So we're walking in the park, and we're struggling to keep up with Prabhupada because he walks so fast. And then way down at the end of the park, I noticed there is one person in the park. It's a little old lady. A little old lady. And Prabhupada started walking. There's different paths in the park, but he chose a path that was going right toward her. And the closer we got to her, I could see she was very well dressed, kind of an aristocratic lady, just enjoying the morning air, the morning sun. And then we're walking, but we're like, there must have been 60 of us, 60 devotees just all over around trying to get close to Prabhupada because you want to hear what he's saying. But Prabhupada just walking right toward her, and she's looking at us, and I'm thinking, wow, what's this lady thinking? All these strange-looking people coming toward her. Because those were the days when we were considered to be really a dangerous cult because of the propaganda of, the deprogrammers and all this stuff. So we were coming closer. And just when Prabhupada, by then I was right up by Prabhupada, so I got a good view of this. I was looking at the old lady, and she's just sort of looking at us, and then Prabhupada walks right by where she's sitting on the bench. So what does Prabhupada do? He says something that was very familiar to her. He didn't say Hare Krishna. Good morning. Good morning. Very charming. Yeah, good morning, big smile, good morning, And the lady looks, and she goes, oh, isn't that nice? And she's looking at Prabhupada and all of us. Prabhupada gave her mercy. He gave her an opportunity by saying something familiar with a smile to have her appreciate the devotees. And that might have been the most lucky moment of her whole life. Who knows? I don't know. So, yeah, it's very important that we greet everybody appropriately, treat people appropriately. There's a little old lady, she could have freaked out and called 911 or something, They just landed. They're from Mars, and they're going to kidnap me. No, she just, Prabhupada just mellowed her out, And I thought, oh, Prabhupada is so merciful. Because, in the neophyte stage, give her mercy, Prabhu. Hare Krishna! Krishna wants you back to Godhead. No, she didn't say Hare Krishna. Anyway. Okay, it's getting late, and I just want to say how much fun I had. And I hope to come back next year, and they want me to do the Maritimes with Founder Acharya seminars, so I hope that's true. It'll happen if Bhakti Mark Swami is behind it, I know. It'll happen. Okay, so it's time for breakfast, and it is still there. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Prabhupada, Prabhupada. So don't forget to write Prabhu for the notes, and I am at your service, to be your pen pal or your email pal. Jai, Hare Krishna. Jai.